Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Goffstown School Board meeting. I call the meeting at 7 o'clock. If we can all stand and say the pledge.
With allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, do we have correspondence tonight?
We do have correspondence this evening. The first is just the press release announcing Kurt McDermott as the curriculum coordinator here at Goffstown High School. And the second is a letter that we received from the New England League of Middle Schools. Let us know that Brandy is getting the A+ Administrator Award from NELMS. The purpose of this award is to honor administrators who value, understand, and support effective middle-level education. And we're just very excited that Brandy was able to receive this award. She'll be going to a presentation and a reception at the end of March in order to be recognized for her outstanding achievement. So congratulations to Brandy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right, commendations, good news. Lil, go ahead.
Hi. So I think coming back from the break, which was very much needed, the two main things that I'd like to share tonight are that the girls basketball team made it to the semifinals, which is tomorrow, so pretty big deal. And then also Student Council is starting the Kate Sherwood project, which connects students with staff through a anonymous journal. So students were recommended by guidance to participate, and Student Council picked qualified students, and teachers also could volunteer. And starting tomorrow, each student and each teacher will be assigned a journal. And so the student and the teacher can write back and forth, and there's certain prompts and guided questions that both the student and the teacher can ask. And it's supposed to, at the end, you will be revealed to each other with a pizza party. And it's supposed to create a sense of community and make students feel like they have a trusted adult in the building, and kind of create that connection that you may have never created before. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. Thank you.
I have a couple other things to add, if that's okay.
Definitely.
So at Glen Lake, they have brought back the Positive Solutions for Families free workshop series, which is sponsored by Glen Lake School Partnership with the help of Glen Lake staff. They're actually in the middle of a session, and they've started meeting on Tuesday evenings, and the sessions will end at the end of this month. Childcare and dinner has been provided at all of these sessions, and it's a research-based series that deals with addressing challenging behaviors with 2 to 7-year-olds. It's been very well received in the past and thus far as well, and it's the first time that we've been able to bring back that series since the pandemic, so we're really thrilled to have that back. At Bartlett, they just started a new PBIS rollout focusing on lunch etiquette. All of the students came back from break and were able to get new seats at lunch, so they were very excited to come back and to be able to sit near some new peers in the lunchroom. At Mountain View, they had their first 7th and 8th grade dance on February 17th, and it was a great success. Officer Jackie Pelletier is currently at Mountain View and is teaching our DARE program to our students in 6th grade. And Mountain View is also participating in the Fisher Cats Reading Challenge. Students read 5 books, and they earn 2 free tickets to a Fisher Cats game.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Commendations, good news? Jenny?
I was able to attend Susical in the middle of a snowstorm, and it was wonderful. It was so much fun, and I have to say our Representative Lil just rocked it. Awesome job, Lil. And also, I just wanted to mention that Jack Willickson was named Citizen of the Year by the New Boston chapter of DAR for Goffstown High School, and he will go on with other students from different schools in the state for a state competition. So congratulations to Jack for that honor.
Thank you, Jenny. Anyone else? Go ahead, Scott.
Yeah, last week I had the pleasure of attending a retirement luncheon for custodian Peter Haggerty. I think he had 24 and a half years with us, and he recently retired. It was great to see all of our custodial and maintenance staff here, and we had an opportunity to, well, at least I did. We roasted Peter just a little bit, and also Jay Federer is also leaving us after, I think, was it 14 or 15 years? So some tough shoes to fill in terms of our facilities department.
Thank you, Scott. Anyone else? Commendations, good news? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to public comment. Do we have some public comment tonight? All right, you can come sit at one of the microphones and just state your name and address for the record.
Hi, name is Faith Strickland, address 593 Bedford Road, New Boston. I'm here as a supporter of the Mountain View Middle School football program that will be proposed tonight. And I support it from various levels. I'm the president of the Booster Club for the football team here at the high school. And monetarily, we have agreed to support the program in as many ways as we can. We've talked about different fundraisers and just donations of funds in general. So as the Booster Club, we fully support that. I also teach here at the high school, and I think having another program at the middle school for students to be involved with directly in the school is always a great idea, whether it's sports or other activities, but that always benefits the student to, give them one more thing that they want to succeed in the classroom so that they have the ability to play the sport that they love. And then also as a parent of athletes, I think that having the football program at the middle school would be a great addition. I know that when tryouts occur for various sports, there are many, 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 many kids that try out, and only a few select kids get to play just because there's not spots for all of them. So adding another sport for students to have in the fall would be great.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Anyone else have public comment? No, you guys are all set? Okay, all right, well then I'll close public comment. So we have the approval of February 20th school board minutes. Did everybody have a chance to look at them? Anybody see anything? If not, I'll take a motion.
School board minutes of February 20th, 2023.
Thank you, Alan. Do I have a second? By Ginny? Any further discussion?
Just want to commend Mrs. Moore for
It was a big one.
pages worth of minutes that are not
Yes,
generalized. They're fairly
Yes.
detailed, so anybody who gets a chance to read them gets a better idea what happens at the meeting than just say, hey,
Yeah,
Dan said
that's true.
something, hey, Jared said something.
right.
Yeah.
No,
So,
definitely.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
Dan.
She does a good job.
She does. All right, we have a motion. We have a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, abstaining? Okay, we're unanimous. And then in your packets, as an FYI, we just received today the deliberative minute meeting.
Could I make a
Minute
comment on that?
of the
On
meeting. Go
behalf
ahead.
of Jared?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Dan's already got it.
Yep. My son is also named Jared, and they spell their names the same, Jared.
Okay.
And unfortunately, there's an O in there.
From Article 2 down.
Yeah, so
They got it right
if
the
we
first
can
time.
relay this back to the school district clerk to make that
Yeah.
correction?
Yes.
Do we need to formally approve these?
No, they're not
No.
ours. This belongs to the.
We didn't
the,
write them.
What it
It's
says
just
it
an
is.
FYI, but we will make changes for Jared's name. All right, so tonight we have two presentations. The first one is from the Future Business Leaders of America, so if you guys want to come on up.
So welcome to Krista Scarlett, our FBLA advisor, and she has 7 students with her tonight from Goffstown High School.
I guess I'll start. My name is Jocelyn Ashford. I'm currently a senior, and I am grateful to say that I'm the president of Goffstown's chapter of the Future Business Leaders of America. As you probably know, FBLA is a club funded to help students pursue careers in business. We do a bunch of stuff. So many opportunities have been provided for me through whether that be academic competition, leadership involvement, definitely, making new connections through students from different chapters, from different schools, and also connections through small business owners here in Goffstown. We just had someone will talk about it, but we had someone come speak from Goffstown Ace Hardware, which was really nice. As president, my main duties are helping people know when meetings are, what we do, like promote. We have meetings every other Wednesday. What stuff we do at meetings, events we're involved in. I would definitely say my most proud achievement for this year at FBLA is our involvement. Like, we have our owners, oh goodness.
It's okay.
Our involvement has grown so much. Our membership has grown. We have currently 67 members, and 39 of them are attending our state leadership conference at the end of March. And so I'm really proud that we've been able to grow the club this much this year. We've definitely promoted our presence on social media a lot, so I'm really proud of everyone for that. I definitely wouldn't be able to do it without the rest of the officers, though, so I have to give them credit too.
Awesome, thank
I'll
you.
hand it to May, I guess, yeah.
Okay, so my name is May, and I'm Sophie. We're co-vice presidents. And obviously, we're also very proud of FBLA's growth, just even in the past year. Our job as vice presidents are obviously to help Jocelyn with anything and to help our members with state leadership projects. For example, every single year we have to work on some state leadership projects that are created by like state leaders. One of them includes Nourish to Flourish, which was a mental health and suicide awareness project. Goffstown High School actually had Mr. Webb come and speak to our chapter about the resources that they can have at Goffstown High School with mental health awareness and just spreading mental health awareness. So that's just one of the projects that we've done. If you want to.
Yeah, and one of the things that we did recently this past month was FBLA Week, which really was just a week where we had, every day was like a different, it was kind of to recognize and put light on a different thing that we do in FBLA. And so, for example, like Monday was just FBLA awareness, where we all wore our t-shirts and we, spread it to people that didn't know what FBLA was and things like that. And we also worked on the state leadership, and I just want to take a second to also note that FBLA Week was statewide. We're not the only school that does it. We did it with everybody else, and we worked together on the projects that will all come together and finish off with at the State Leadership Conference later this month. So yeah, like for example, we had Mr. John Webb come in to talk about mental health awareness. And also I want to just reiterate that FBLA Week was for not just members of FBLA, like the talks and the presentations that we had and all the activities we put on were for not just members of FBLA, they were for everybody that wanted to come to them, and so a lot of people benefited from it.
Yeah.
Great.
And I'll pass it on to Logan now.
All right, I'm Logan. I'm the treasurer for our chapter at FBLA, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about State Leadership Conference, as they've already hinted at. So throughout the year, we work on these state officer projects, and they all kind of lead up to this big event, which is SLC. And it's where chapters from across the state come to the Doubletree Hotel in Manchester to meet up, compete and test presentations, interviews, and ultimately crown who's the Gold Seal chapter. So last year was my first year attending SLC, and I competed in the Introduction to Financial Math test and ended up placing first place, which was pretty cool. And alongside many other members from Goffstown who also placed in events, we ended up coming in first at SLC and were awarded the honors of being a Gold Seal chapter. And it was just an overall really good experience. Got to meet a lot of people, have a lot of fun, and just have a really good time. Now I'll hand it off to Ethan, who's going to talk a little bit more about SLC.
Hello, everybody. My name is Ethan Hansen, head salesman at the Goffstown High School store. And I would just like to say that at SLC, we do a numerous amount of getting together and socializing, as well as getting to know people, make new relationships. And last year we had a dance where we all schools and all children got together. We all met new people. And it really feels like a family in FBLA because you don't only meet the people in your chapter, you meet other students from other schools that you make connections with, and it's a really cool thing to get to know a lot of other people and diversify. So that's what SLC really focuses on.
Okay, my name is Olivia Georgianis. I'm a sophomore currently at Goffstown High School, and today I'm going to be talking about Fall Leadership Workshop, which is also known as FLW. One of the state projects called Donate Stories for Future Glories, and my plan to run for state office next year. So first I'll start with Fall Leadership Workshop, which is an event that's held at Camp Carpenter every year during October. So pretty much the focus of Fall Leadership Workshop is networking. It's a lot of networking, and this is also where the state officers present here. So for example, this year at at Fall Leadership, we got in groups and we networked, and all the state officers came around and talked to us about their projects and offered us to ask questions. And another big thing about Fall Leadership Workshop is the college fair that's offered. So various colleges from around the state come and they set up booths in the hall at Camp Carpenter, and you walk around and we do like a little scavenger hunt and answer questions and talk to the representatives from the colleges. In there they can talk to us about career opportunities and even scholarship opportunities. So I think that's a really essential part of Fall Leadership. So the main project that I was focused on this year that I kind of took under my wing was Donate Stories for Future Glories, which is essentially a project to collect books to donate to local libraries and other like educational resources. So I started by first, I don't know if there is like those cases in the thing over there. We made one for the book project, which was a really big hit because what I did was I made the bulletin board, I decorated it, and I kind of said what the project was about, and then I put a bin in there. So I know a lot of like stigma, like, oh, fundraisers, it's kind of like books, I don't want to. So I put the bin and people could just freely donate whatever they wanted, and it was really helpful. And I also created infographics, posted on social media, and we helped like collect like 150 to 200 books. So it was a really successful project.
That's great.
And I also couldn't have done it, like, I'm not an officer myself, but my officers are wicked helpful, and I just want to say thank you. And lastly, my plan to run for state office. So every year at SLC, State Leadership Conference, people run for state office. So next year, as when I'm a junior, I'm going to run for my senior year. So my project is going to be, I haven't come up with a name yet, but essentially what it's going to be is collecting like business semi-formal attire for low-income youth, because something that I noticed or kind of thought about, like people that know me know I really believe in like look good, feel good. So for children that don't have a nice outfit to wear for job interviews, or even like just like something so simple as like prom or taking a girl out on a date, you know, it's nice to have something. And even I've noticed when you like say for basketball, the students are supposed to dress up for game days, and I've noticed some kids don't have that opportunity because they don't have an outfit. So I think for me that was something that really hit home, and I think it's meaningful, so that's my plan. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Reese. I am the public relations at FBLA, and I'm a senior. So this year we had Karen Henderson came into our management class, and she presented. She's from Ace Hardware. She talked all about what it means to run a business and how it is at Ace Hardware. You can pass this around if you would like. It's a picture of like after. So this year we got to nominate her for Business Person of the Year, and she won. So she's going to be able to come to SLC, and she's going to get an award and everything, and it's going to be really cool.
Awesome.
I think that's it. If anyone has questions.
I was just going to say, like, listening to, I wouldn't be able to do it without these guys, because, like, listening to you guys make me look good, so hearing everyone talk makes me really proud of the environment that we created, because, like Ethan said, FBLA is a family. Like, we have a lot of fun. Like, coming, you know, we have meetings every other week in the mornings, but, like, it's not a drag to show up 30 minutes early to school, because I know that I'm going to get to see our lovely advisor, Miss Scarlett. We can't do it without Miss Scarlett, definitely. But the environment that we've created, definitely. But if you guys have any questions, we'd love to answer them for you guys.
Does anybody have anything? No? Well, I know we love hearing from you guys and appreciate you coming out tonight and all the wonderful things that you guys are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
You should be proud of yourself. Yes,
Absolutely.
you really do a good
And you're welcome to stay or go home, whatever. You probably have homework for tonight.
Thank you.
Good night, guys. All right, so the next is the Mountain View Middle School football. We have a presentation. Justin, are you leading that?
Hello.
Hi.
Good to be back. Tough act to follow, obviously. We don't dress nearly as well nor speak as well as the FBLA people, but I will give it a shot. Here tonight to ask for board's permission to form a 7th and 8th grade football team at Mountain View Middle School. This is something that we've been looking at, trying to evaluate for a couple of years. And we're in the position now where we've seen a school district with some people that I happen to know well do the same thing over in Londonderry, where they've had a successful run and were able to implement this program last year to good effect. A couple of things here. One of the main things is looking to remove some barriers to participation that we've been able to identify. Some of that is financial at times. And by offering something through the school district, as we do with our other sports programs at Mountain View, we're hoping that there will be, no or minimal expense for families. Keeping the program, having a team that can practice right after school, and it'll be right down the street from Mountain View Middle School is something else that we've identified where we have a really strong youth program, but they have to do their practices in the evening, and they have to do it across town. And I know that can be a reason that people don't consider joining. We've seen consistently that our participation numbers have been higher as 9th graders than in 7th and 8th grade. So we're really trying to offer it to students that want to participate, that will eventually participate in football, but haven't been able to, for whatever reason, at particularly the 7th and 8th grade level. So our hope is to be able to do that through the generosity of the Goffstown Booster Club. It's called the Goffstown Grizzlies Gridiron Club. It's one of our oldest and most effective booster clubs at the high school. Faith Strickland is the president, and they have offered their support. We know, according to policy JJ, we would have to be self-funding, so we are prepared to do that with the generosity of the booster club. And then we're going to look to follow the model of other programs. If you look at lacrosse and volleyball are a couple of main ones where the booster club is a blend of high school and middle school. They're really connected, so that the middle school students who play that sport at Mountain View are also part of the same booster club, and those funds can then be used to offset expenses at both levels. Football right now it's run privately and is run by private organizations, so we don't have that ability. I think our volleyball program in particular is one that I look at Mountain View, that we have a tremendous girls volleyball program now, and have for a few years, and the participation is through the roof, and it's terrific. And they come here, and we have 3 levels where we have a freshman team, JV, and varsity in the fall for our girls volleyball players, and I think it's great. And I'm not sure how well that program would run without that program at Mountain View. So we're seeing their success, and we're trying to see if there's a similar offering to our male athletes in the fall to kind of get them on board. There is the program in town called the Junior Grizzlies that is in existence currently and would still be offering younger levels of football. They have 3rd and 4th grade and a 5th and 6th grade team for tackle, in addition to some flag football. So those programs would still be there. We would be looking to take the 7th and 8th grade program, bring it into the Mountain View Middle School, and kind of take over that operation for them. We're hoping that some of our infrastructure will help there. Stuff, if you look at, we have existing things here that our athletic department already has a subscription to Huddle, for example, this video software program that we could just seamlessly fold them in with, that I think would be beneficial. The timing also seems to be advantageous with the turf field going in out back here that will be online come this summer. it would be a good time that we can now house a team and potentially have Mountain View's football team play their home games at that field. And whereas now it's like spaces, with everything, space is pretty tight. We would be able to do that, and then after speaking with Parks and Rec Director Rick Wilhelmy, he's willing to let us use the Goffstown Sports Complex downtown, I say downtown, across the river, and hold our practices there after school for Mountain View students. So we would not need to have any field impact at Mountain View, so all existing teams would continue to have their practice spaces, no impact there. So we've kind of tried to explore the different angles. I've met with Mike Garrity, the athletic coordinator at Mountain View, as well as Jess Milligan, the principal. They are both supportive of this program. I've spoken to Junior Grizzlies, met with the Booster Club, head coach at the high school, Nick Hammond, and we're kind of all in alignment here. We think this is something that would be advantageous to our community as a whole, and that is what we are here to ask for. I'm, at this point, happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Justin. Before I take questions, I just want everybody to know that there is a packet that has a lot of the information in case you didn't see it. So, Ginny, I saw your hand up, and then Ellen.
Justin, I'm always for any kind of a program that gets more children involved in school, and especially in co-curricular programs, because it always makes them have a connection, keep their grades up, keep their behaviors good, and attendance and all that kind of stuff. I do have a couple of questions, though.
Sure.
Football teams are very large at Mountain, and it's good to have a feeder program for the high school. Is Mountain View large enough of a school to have both a football team and to field a soccer team as well?
It is. If we look at the memo that you guys should have received, you'll see a list of middle schools in the state that offer football. I think we are the second largest after Londonderry now, and all those schools also offer soccer programs through their school district well into high school. If that were a concern, I think we would have already seen issues with our soccer programs here, but our numbers have actually been getting stronger with both of those programs, so I don't have concerns about that. I hear the concern, but.
Also, my other thing is, if the practices are going to be across, well, it's not, for Mountain View, it's not across town, but it is a ways away, what would the transportation be? Because those are kids that can't be driving, and busing is a serious problem.
Yep. So I did look into this, and I talked to the transportation coordinator, Lori Barbieri, a while back about this, actually, when we were first kind of looking into this. A lot of the busing issues are more after school and that rush hour, and then transporting teams after the day is done. What we would be able to do here, and this is from talking to Lori, is have a school bus that picks up students at Mountain View at the end of the school day, takes them basically down the hill, around, and to the Goffstown Sports Complex, drops them off, and then comes back to the Mountain View Middle School and gets back in their regular queue. And it could even be that they go to a different school. But that bus is not out of circulation, so it's a short enough drive that they will be able to do that and then return. What we're also going to offer is our late bus. Picks up at Mountain View every day at 5 o'clock. They're willing to have that bus. It then comes over to Goffstown High School. I think usually leaves here around 5:30. They're willing to have the bus stop at the sports complex. So at least on paper, a student would get taken to the sports complex where their practice is, and they could even get picked up by a late bus there. Now, what we've seen generally is parents usually are there by the end of practice.
Yeah.
They would now just pick up their student at 5:10, 5:15 at the sports complex. But we do have the ability to, again, with just working with Lori, have a way to get the students there and potentially even taking on a late bus home.
So would this be one of the later pickup buses at Mountain View, so the kids wouldn't be getting out of school early?
They will not be getting out early for this, no.
Okay, thank you.
You all set, Jenny?
Yep.
Okay, great. Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah. I echo what Ginny says. I support after-school activities for our kids of all kinds. My concern is football's expensive. And I see the appendix here, and there is 0 in for transportation. And if this practice is gonna be 5 days a week, right, 4 or 5 days a week, they're gonna be transporting every day. It's gonna have to cost more. And then games away and all that kind of stuff, right? There's no cost on here, with the bottom totals the first year being over $30,000 without transportation. Are they covered for that amount now, if we approve this?
So we do have the funds in place. It would not be, it'll be probably looking at 3 days a week, not 5.
Okay.
Not transporting to away games. There is precedent in place that these teams have traveled without buses before. When they're with a private organization, they certainly do. And right now, our other Mountain View sports have to get to away games without bus transportation. So there will not be bus transportation to away games. Yeah.
Okay.
There would be, like I said, that drive down the street to drop them off and then come back, that I did not factor in budget-wise. You're correct about that.
Okay, so the money's there for the first year, you're telling us?
Yes, for the
30,000.
initial startup, yep.
Okay, and the second and third year?
Second and third years, yeah.
Is also available?
Yep.
So my question is, once you know what the transport costs, the cost to the district, once this, if it's approved and it keeps going and the support is there, probably by then it would be about 18 to 20,000 a year?
I would think it would be in line with more like year 2, 3, so it could be, yeah, 15,000 to 18,000, something like that.
I allow for a lot of inflation.
Fair enough. I tend to budget.
Come on, let's get real.
So when I put in here for the helmets, for example, I've been speaking to vendors, it's going to be less than the amount in here. I do always, anything you see me do, I will always budget pretty conservatively.
Yep.
So I'm confident saying it will not be more than this. I expect it to be less. And then again, working with Junior Grizzlies, we are hopeful that they will donate some helmets and shoulder pads for those programs as well, so that would bring down the number a little bit more.
Okay.
But I do want to have everything backed up. That's why I'm making sure we have
And I
everything.
greatly appreciate hearing the attempts, and I hope you'll be very successful at taking down barriers for kids in participating, that they're not paying thousands of dollars to pay, because we don't have a pay-to-play program. These things are not, we don't ask the kids to pay for stuff. So I would be really upset if this one sport were paying the pay-to-play. And my other question that you raised, actually you made me think of it, was, does this mean the kids will be getting out of school earlier than others to go to practice?
They will not. They will not need to get out early in order to get down for the practice.
Okay.
We plan the practice to start around 3:30, and if
Okay.
need be, we could go a little
And
bit
the buses
later.
can still make it there, come back and get in the queue? Okay.
And there are, the fundraising is obviously a big part of that, but that's no different than any of our other teams. There are occasionally fees for other sports teams here where but it's usually covered by fundraising.
Okay, thank you very much.
The key, Ellen, is you have to eat a lot of hamburgers and hot dogs on, well, soon-to-be Friday nights.
Right.
So we count on the Vermakowitz family spending at
Yep.
least $25.
Get 'em there.
Dan had his hand up. Go ahead, Dan.
The question is actually for Mr. Gross. If, for instance, the bus, there's additional cost related to the bus to get the athletes from MVMS down to the field and come back, because I know we're going to be seeing tonight on the manifest some additional costs for fuel. Is that something that you're prepared to calculate out so it's a net neutral for the first 3 years?
My plan, if this gets approved, is to talk with the bus company. We're talking less than a mile from Mountain View to that sports complex, and I'm going to ask them just to pick it up and not charge us for it, because it's such a small distance.
It's
And it's not
minuscule.
taking them really out of the way in any type of substantive way. So my request from the transportation contractor would be to ask them just to pick it up.
Okay.
Are you all set, Dan? Go ahead, Ellen.
Just one other quick one.
Sure.
With any sport, actually it is, but is there a cost to increased cost to the district for liability insurances?
No.
For playing football at the middle school?
No.
My source says no.
No.
No, there would be, you would have one more, we do pay NHIAA based upon a per sport, right? So that would go up nominally, maybe $100 or something like that, based upon the sports that we're in. But in terms of insurance, no.
Okay. So if I calculated it, the first time we'll see this in our budget would be budget year 26, 27.
Right.
Okay.
Go ahead, Dan.
And if I may, that would be the earliest.
Right.
Right. So Scott, the fees for the referees, we have a current system where the school, we fund this program and they get it electronically. Is that contemplated for this? Maybe that's a question for Justin. How are the refs going to be compensated if this is net neutral?
It would be paid for one way or another by the funds that we have from the
Right.
support of the Booster Club. That's a good question. The exact mechanics of that, I would have to defer, I think, to Scott. We do have that arbiter system that
You're right.
it might be that is the most efficient way to do it.
Mhm.
And then that we could, I believe, fund it from an outside source.
Dan, we would pay the officials' fees from a district perspective and ask for the donation to offset it as revenue.
So it would probably come to this board to accept the
Yes.
donation?
Yes.
To,
There are some
Okay.
things on that list that I don't think that, another one, if we have a coach and that coach happens to be coaching, we're going to pay that through the district and ask for a donation to cover that cost. That's what we did with volleyball and others. So we set the rate, the stipended rate.
Yep.
We pay it as a district, and then in the case of volleyball and lacrosse, they donated those funds to the district to offset it. But it goes through us. They don't
Okay.
pay the coach.
When would the timing be for that follow-up? Only because a new program, it's one of the first ones that comes to us for the first 3 years. Is that something that we would ask for pre-funding to make sure that the system actually follows the no cost? So we would get that pre-funded,
Yeah,
let's say in September?
I would. That would be my recommendation. If this board approves this proposal, I would go through some of those lists, especially with coaches, et cetera, and we would say, yes, please make a donation of X to cover this coming season for some of those costs. I feel pretty confident. I mean, I know Faith really well. I know folks I know some of them. I see them. I've been seeing them for years at games, so I trust their word. But yeah, we would probably have some of those things up front from them so that we know that it's covered.
Thank you.
Great. Anyone else have any questions? Go ahead, Jared.
I just want to do my active listening. So the Booster Club that's being used is already part of the school system?
Yes.
That we have here? Okay, so we don't need to, I think our policies say that we have to review the financials of our boosters, and we already do that, so there's nothing additional that we have to do at this point in time.
That's correct. Every year, for the last couple of years, we've been asking each of the booster clubs to sign off that they review their financials, and the football boosters, have done that, as well as all of the other ones, too, for that matter. So I don't have any, we, school district, can't tell an independent booster club what to do, et cetera, et cetera. All we can really have them sign off on is that they're signing off that they review their financials and do those things, and that they report to the state if they have to. But we specifically can't, it's not a student activity thing, it's their own independent organization.
I just want to make sure
Can't
our
tell them.
policies are being followed, not just with
Yep.
the 3-year self-funding, but all other
Yep,
policies.
we have, like I said, I think we probably have a dozen of those organizations, and all of them submitted their paperwork this year.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. Does anyone else have any questions or comments for Justin? So looking for approval tonight?
Ideally, yes. please.
Okay.
Is that later on in the?
Well, it was later on in the agenda, but then it got taken out because it was a presentation. So we can do it now or go back to it in new business later on. If everybody is good, have any questions, Justin's here.
I make a motion to accept the football proposal as presented.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, Ellen. Do I have any further discussion?
Just one further comment. When
Yes.
the word presented would not necessarily be limited to the paper document, but to the verbal testimony and discussions as well. Because they're, like the busing wasn't on the paper. We
Right.
talked about it. We want to make sure it's all there.
Yep.
Right, okay.
Okay.
You can add that.
Ellen, you second her amendment? Okay, Denise, did you get all that? Okay. So we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstaining? We're unanimous. Congratulations, guys. Keep us in the loop how you do next year. Thank you so much for all your hard work. We appreciate it. I think the middle school kids will love this.
Thank you.
All right, you guys can go home or stay. It's up to you.
You can stay, because we're going to have a little update on the field.
Right.
In about 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, we got to get through all the committee stuff first. All right, so committee reports. Dan, A and F.
I would like to offer a motion that we accept a manifest for March 6, 2023, in the amount of $2,671,603.34.
All right, do I have a second? By Caroline. Go ahead, Dan.
We have payroll, taxes. One of our big ones today is health trust. These are the payroll deductions, flex spending, dependent care, those things that are done. That was $609,000 by itself. The retirement system, $470,000. Anyway, it was a little over $2 million for the payroll and the ancillary benefits that we pay. SPED activities, if you want to look at the manifest in detail, which we're going to put in the minutes, it was almost $187,000. What we discussed at the committee was the large amount of out-of-district placements that we're paying for. And yes, they are. They seem to be a little higher this year, and it is what it is. When it's needed, some are court placements, some are, we don't have the capability of offering the services locally, although if you remember several years ago, that number was actually much higher. We've done a job over the several years of bringing things back in. It almost looks like it's going back in the other direction, and we'll probably ask you the question a little later to see if there's anything there. But for today, we're paying quite a bit. General expenses, we have the SAU February assessment of $130,000. Let's see, we paid Dead River a little over $50,000. The Goffstown Truck Center, just about $25,000 for 3 months of fuel surcharging, and that's for the diesel fuel, and that's for the first 3 months of the school year. One of the things that we need to be looking at is the contract for fuel is really low, and the cost of fuel is really high. So that delta is that $25,000. Eversource electricity, $32,000. We paid Blue and Services for the Glen Lake boiler and some plumbing repairs at Mountain View for $22,700. We, Goffstown Connect, some Office 365 licenses, that's $20,000. We're starting we gave a deposit for the field renovation and sound system, about $12,500. And if you remember, we talked about the janitorial services where we're not able to get individuals to come directly to the school and be on our payroll. So we're contracting with Citywide. We paid them $12,420, and that was at Mountain View and here at the high school. And some other little Amazon, St. Anselm College, Music and Arts Center, SGF Turfs. They're all around $5,000, except for the turf, $7,000. We had some musical instruments that needed to get replaced, ice hockey rental, and some books and things. And anything over $5,000 gets reported, and of course, Performance Food Service, where we're getting most of our items for the CAF, and what is needed there is $14,000.
Anybody have any questions? Go ahead, Ginny.
Yeah, I'm just curious on the custodial contracted service. Do we have like multiple janitors that are on the payroll from an agency or something? What exactly does?
Well, as I just mentioned, this evening, we had a retirement. We had someone leave who was with us for almost 15 years. We have, I believe, 3 openings right now. And we also had, obviously, folks do get, sometimes they get injured on the job, et cetera. So,
Okay.
you deal with that. But right now, we've got contracted services here at the high school and also at Mountain View Middle School is where we're using these folks. So, and then what they do is they handle like a wing. That's how they do it here, where you might have a custodian that might handle, like, say, the 300 wing of the building. Similarly, we do that with the contracted services so that we can have some accountability. And then Randy actually met with this group regarding, making sure that our expectations and what they're doing align. And here they were, Mountain View not so much, so Randy had to go over there and reset those expectations. So, but we have no choice. I mean, we're just having a really difficult time.
So it's like temporary?
Yeah, we hope it's temporary.
Okay.
I mean, we also have a support staff contract coming up that'll be voted on within the next 10 days. So that will, if passed, that will help with wages. But it has been challenging, no doubt.
Okay. I was just wondering, because I cringe at privatization, because I've had some really bad experiences
we
with
don't have a
school
choice, Ginny.
And that, so
Yeah.
that's just part of needing some extra people
Yeah.
and.
Yeah, and we did execute a memorandum of understanding with the union with respect to that, but we're in a position where we have to do this.
Yeah, I understand. I just wanted to make
Yep.
sure that, that's what that was. Okay.
Thank you, Jenny. Anyone else? All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. All right, thank you, Dan. All right, Scott, you got more update stuff?
Yeah, the A&F committee talked about a bid recommendation for the Mountain View Middle School bus turnaround project. And for those on the board, but more importantly, for those who are watching on TV, we did have a project at Mountain View which would create a bus turnaround at the back of the school, pretty much near the playground and the, let's see, there's a slope near the softball field outfield. And what the proposal is that the buses would, as they come into Mountain View campus, they would go up to the left, drop off students. We're going to create this bus turnaround, and really what it is a giant cul-de-sac, essentially. The buses would then turn around and go back the same road that they came in on, then executing a right turn back onto Lauren Lane. We hope that by segregating the bus traffic and the vehicular traffic of parents who are picking up and dropping off, that will ease some of the congestion. Right now, buses loop around the school and they have to execute a left-hand turn in between all these cars to then go back down the road. So, we're hopeful that this is going to alleviate some traffic, not eliminate, but alleviate. We put this out to bid in April of last year, and if you recall, the lowest bid was over $200,000. Our engineer felt that based upon the tight time frame of that construction in the summertime, we had a very tight construction window, and our engineer felt that if we rebid the project, we might see more favorable financial bids. And I'm pleased to say that he was right. We put it out to bid in mid-January. The bids came in on Thursday. As you can see from the summary sheet, there were 6 bidders. The bids ranged from $169,985 to a high of $311,975. Randy and I did reference checks on the low bidder, which is CSSI out of Bedford, and those reference checks also included the town of Goffstown, by the way. So there were 3 companies and then the town of Goffstown, and Randy and I are recommending that we accept the bid of CSSI for the Mountain View Middle School Bus Turnaround Project in the amount of $169,985. This project will be ESSER funded, so we will have to comply with Davis-Bacon, not David Bacon, which was a typo, I apologize. But we will be using ESSER funds for this project, and the good news is that it is $30,000 less than what we had bidded out from last year. So thanks to Dan Tatum and Stantec for encouraging us to put it back out to bid. It's still about $10,000 more than what we had preliminarily budgeted or estimated or assigned in our ESSER overall projects, but we have sufficient funds in that to cover that $10,000 overage. So that was it, if there's any questions.
Yep, Jared, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Scott, just so that you know, we don't have the breakdown of the bids in front of us, at least wasn't a part of my packet. So
Oh, you didn't get this memo?
So, trusting, yep, don't have it. So just
Okay.
trusting what you have there.
Okay.
The contract type, is it a fixed firm price, or is it, it's a
It's a
fixed firm
fixed
price?
price. And this contract is one that I had used for the Windows project because it involves federal grants. There is at least 20 different stipulations that's required in it. So I use what's called an AIA, fixed price contract, and it has all of those federal requirements baked in that our attorney has already reviewed. So I'll be using that same contract.
Okay, thank you.
We're passing it around, just so you can see.
Thank you.
Okay, Jared, are you all set?
I'm good for now, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Ellen.
Just real quick, this will be done over the summer and completed before school starts?
Yeah, so the part of the bid packet, Ellen, was that work would commence at the end of the school year, which I think is right around, was it June 17th or 18th?
So you want a motion tonight to move forward with?
Yeah, I would need a motion to accept the,
Do you have a question, Dan?
The bidder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jared?
Just a further question, just because I can't remember off the top of my head, how much do we have for the ESSER funds remaining and that aren't allocated to other projects?
hold
Basically, I
on.
just want to make sure we have funds in the hopper to do this, or do we have to?
Oh, yeah,
move
there's
out?
no, it's, like I said, we've allocated $400,000 for a math program, which the assistant superintendent will talk about a little bit later. We had allocated $100,000 for a project for, was it mental health? But we couldn't find the counselor.
Right.
So that one, we got approval for, so right then and there, we have enough funding.
So let me be direct.
cover
So this is $10,000 over what we expected. We have the funds to cover that overage of $10,000.
Within the ESSER grant, yes.
Within the ESSER grant.
Yes.
And then for different subject. Thank you.
Okay.
You're all set? Okay.
Move to approve the bid from CSSI.
All right, so
If I can elaborate on that, Ellen, if you would allow me to,
Okay,
or do you allow me to make the motion?
go ahead.
all right,
I'd like to make a motion, we accept the low bid for the MVMS bus turnaround project from CSSI, which is Connie Septic Services Incorporated, in a firm fixed price of $169,985.
thank you, Dan. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Jared. Any further discussion?
No, it's just further discussion, how about a comment? I mean, we have been
Comment?
looking at this for years.
Years.
And I am just so excited to see this thing happen,
Yes.
because
Yes.
keeping the buses and the car traffic separated where they come back down to the bottom of the hill, if we needed to put emphasis on the bus needing to leave or a car needing to leave, it's a
Or
lot easier
emergency
doing it
vehicles.
at the bottom of the hill.
Right.
So this is
is
gonna
good.
be, this is one of the better projects that we've been able to
Absolutely.
fund and get done.
Thank you, Dan. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. Thank you. All right, keep going.
So I'm going to go rather quick. GHS field renovation project, we are on hold due to the snow. Good news is that while we had not that much snow in the month of January and February, they removed all the topsoils, they removed the GTV tower, they dug a foundation for the press box addition, and we were told from speaking with Field Turf, the contractor, that they'll resume late March, early April, with the project. So we probably have a 2 to 3 week, setback due to weather, but we also had about 5 weeks of great weather where we actually advanced the project. Still working with Roger Dignard. He is a New Boston architect, actually retired architect, who is developing those plans. One of the gentlemen who is here is a contractor that we're also working with on pricing. We've received donations of labor and the architectural services, and then there was a lot of other people kind of lining up to help on that press box edition, because our budget is really, really tight. As I mentioned earlier on, the sound system, we put a deposit on that. So the sound system, there'll be speakers on all 4 of the light poles, which will be a nice, environment. Hopefully you really can hear when things are kind of going on, not just for athletic events, but for any other assembly of students. There are graduations that could be had, et cetera. So it's not just athletic events. So we're doing well, on that particular project. And I'm looking at Justin. I think that was pretty much about it, right? We're on track. Okay.
All right, keep going.
Energy consultant, I kept A&F committee apprised of this. Everybody knows that electricity rates have gone up. Laura Taylor, the assistant business administrator, is working with Randy and Dawn in facilities on working with a broker who will pretty much lump together our electricity supply needs, as well as propane and oil, and join a consortium of other school districts and municipalities to get a better rate. Town of Goffstown, I spoke with them last week, and they are more than likely going to join that as well. So in the past, we've kind of we've only regionalized to the extent that it was the Town of Goffstown, New Boston and School District, and Goffstown School District. Now it's going to could be as many as 30, 40 municipalities and school districts. So we hope to get the lowest possible electricity supply rate that we can, and the company and the woman who runs this company is really knowledgeable in terms of those markets as well as the commodities market. So more to follow on that. We're not signing any agreements, but I wanted to let you know that that will be coming, and we're just working out those type of details. Same thing with purchasing cooperative SPC for copiers and managed print. Steve Bourget and I are looking at this company that, again, bundles our copier leases with that of other school districts in Maine and Vermont. And typically what we have seen is these agreements are signed for 3, 4, and 5-year terms, and you're bundled together with 20 other school districts. So you're getting very favorable rates on the leases and on the service contracts. Based upon a look back in terms of what we could have potentially saved, it could have been substantial, like $20,000 a year for Goffstown. So using these types of buying consortiums is really favorable to us. We've been doing it in a very small way with just Goffstown and New Boston. Now we're expanding it to, like I said, 20, 30 different towns and municipalities, school districts. So more to follow on that one. We're not prepared to sign that one just yet. And then the last one is Sourcewell, which is another cooperative purchasing. So that's a theme here. We're looking to try to, spend our money as prudently as possible. On this particular one, the A&F committee asked to take a look at some of their bylaws, the Sourcewell. This is what we used for our field turf the project out back, where we were able to get the competitive bid from this cooperative purchasing group. They're based out of Minnesota, and I'm going to take a look at their bylaws and a couple of Minnesota statutes. The laws all pertain to New Hampshire, but I'm just going to do a little bit more reading up on that particular one. So hopefully by next meeting or the meeting after that, I do need, in order to participate in these purchasing co-ops, I do need like a board approval. I can't do that, on my own. So I do have to bring that forward to you. These cooperatives are really meant for bigger purchases. So although there are companies like Staples and Grainger and others that we typically buy from, furniture companies is another one. We would use these purchasing cooperatives to essentially try to get the lowest possible price. So furniture is a great example. We would put the furniture out to bid, go through Sourcewell to see what those prices were, and in many cases, it would be cheaper less cost than if we were to simply go out and talk to our furniture distributor on our own. So, and this is one of a couple. So you might see in the months ahead, there's a couple more of these purchasing cooperatives that I'm looking at. And again, just looking for any and all ways to try to save money where we can and be part of a bigger buying group. And that's the big theme for me in 2023 is purchasing cooperatives and trying to save more money.
Thank you, Scott.
All right.
Does anybody have any questions, comments for Scott? All right, so we'll move on to Budget Committee. Jared?
No meetings until after elections, whereupon we're going to be called together by the town administrator to form a board.
All right, awesome, thank you. PNC,
Yes, PNC met this evening, and we have a number of items. I'll try to be quick with this. At our last meeting, we talked about getting a presentation set up with the New Hampshire School Funding, Fair Funding Project, and Brian is working with them, and it looks like either in May 15th or June 5th. In addition to the presentation, they also shared a letter and asked if the school board wanted to sign it, and this is a letter that goes to the state legislature requesting that they that supporting adequate education. It's a lengthy letter, and this is being circulated around the state, and I believe Scott and Wendy talked about this along with Heather and thought that rather this may be something that individuals want to or don't want to sign. So they'll send out the electronic copy. You can read it. You can look into the organization. So I just wanted to share that with you. You will get that email, and it's up to you whether you want to add your name to that or not. So you can see everybody in the state that has signed it, all the school districts.
I'll send it out to everybody now. And
yeah.
Thank you, Scott.
So we won't talk anymore about that. Thank you. We did continue to talk about the website. No further decisions about that at this point in time, but that will continue to be on the agenda. We talked about getting a table at Springfest on April 1st. That's a townwide event that happens. It has businesses and organizations. And Scott did secure a table for the school board, as we discussed. That will be April 1st here at Goffstown High School. It runs from 10 to 4. We'll need to set up and take down at the end. So I'm thinking from 9 to 5, or it'll end up probably not being all the way to 5. Anyways, in order to, I think ideally, we'd be looking at 2-hour shifts, and ideally having at least 2 people at a time at the table. That way we can bounce back and forth depending on how many people come up to the table. So what would be helpful to know right now is who is interested and available to participate, and we'll work on a schedule and do a survey to find out when you're available. So if you could just let me know by a show of hands. Okay. And Dan, I think you weren't available, right?
I was doing taxes that day.
Okay.
Don't you rather do this?
Sounds like fun.
You can do them both at the same time.
It's a toss-up.
Walk-in.
Walk-ins.
Jenny, Shane, okay.
I think everybody's hand is up except Dan, but he has taxes to do. But
And we'll
maybe
have
we can
one
take a
new
break.
school board member on
Yes.
as well, so, good. So more on that, I will
I could
work on
crash.
getting a schedule. Brian talked about inviting the legislature members to come to one of the school board meetings. No updates on that right now, but that will be happening in April or May. Coming up, things are going to start to move quickly through the school year as we look at graduation, but in between now and then, we've got Volunteer Appreciation Week, which is the third week of April 16th through the 22nd. We talked about continuing with the hashtag Goffstown Volunteers. This is something we did in collaboration with the other town offices. So we'll be getting word out about that. People can recognize town volunteers on social media. We also talked about getting each of the schools to put it out on their signs, recognizing Volunteer Appreciation Week, as well as getting recommendations from each of the schools that we could publicly announce under commendations during our meeting, which happens to be the first day of Volunteer Appreciation Week. So that's happening. Faculty Staff Appreciation Week is the first full week of May. Schools are starting to plan events, and Wendy recommended that we let the schools know if we're planning on doing something so we're not overlapping. I will talk with Brian when he gets back, but in the past, we've done things like breakfast. We talked about ice cream. So we'll look at some ideas of what it is that we can do at the schools on behalf of the school board, and we'll report back at our next meeting. And the board self-evaluation survey, as you know, we'll be doing that for the retreat. We would like to redo that. As you know, it's rather lengthy and sometimes tedious to go through all of the comments. So we're looking at improving that and make it a little more useful for our retreat. And that's just about it. Legislative updates, and that's, we had talked about if we should have a subcommittee to do legislative updates, or should it be part of an existing committee? And we thought this would also be a good topic for the retreat, where we look at all of the subcommittees and determine if this needs to be a standalone committee, or could it be, for example, part of P&C or some of the other subcommittees. And that's it. Our next meeting is on April 3rd at 6:15.
Great, thank you, Retta. You guys are busy tonight.
Yes.
All right, policy review. We have not met since we saw each other, but we do have a meeting next Monday, March 13th at 5:30 at the SAU. C&E?
C&E has not met either. We will be meeting next Monday, the 13th, at 7 p.m. at the SAU.
Great, thank you, Jenny. Superintendent's report.
Yes, I have a few things to report on behalf of Brian. We did have a remote learning day back on February 23rd due to some very inclement weather. Scott will be providing a update on the lunch discussion at GHS that you had during your last board meeting. Also, back in February, on February 24th, Bartlett practiced the reunification drill. They happened to be here to see parts of Seussical the Musical, so while we had the students here, we were able to practice part of that and be able to make sure that we're still keeping up to date on those reunification procedures. Also, just an update, we are currently looking at our administrative assistant roles. So we have a number of pending retirements, and we are currently looking at roles and responsibilities that for people that currently do not have a backup person that knows how to do what they do. So we've started a review process of the administrative assistants. A small team, and I know Mr. Gross is part of that, has been working and going to review what all of these administrative assistants do. And they're going to be bringing that data back and bringing it to a larger group that's going to discuss opportunities for cross-training, to making sure that we have people that are able to do multiple things to be able to cover our schools. So we will be reporting out on our findings as this project continues. So special thanks to Mr. Gross and his small team that have been going and meeting with all of the various people throughout the district to make that happen. And that's what I have for this evening.
Great. Thank you, Wendy.
Yes.
All right, old business. So you have a policy in front of you, JEB, that we passed at the last meeting, but we just want to make sure that everybody understands it's effective July 1st of 2023. We did not put that in the motion.
Reading the policy on March 6, 2023, I'm having a hard time discerning whether if it was active today or July 1st, what difference does it make? What am I missing?
Go ahead, Wendy.
I believe it's because the superintendent has some families that made requests that are in process. So that was the reason why we were looking for that July 1st, because some of those requests had come before him prior to the date that you discussed it at the board meeting. So because he had already started that process.
And I'm processing now.
Yep, no, I appreciate that.
Okay.
So that's why it was asked that we just make it July 1st, 2023. Go ahead, Ellen, while Dan's still thinking.
Okay. And these questions, probably I asked them before, but I don't remember the answers. Why is it different, the entrance, the birth date of being 6 years old, different for a new entry and a transfer student? One's September 30th, the other one's December 31st. Why isn't it the same? I just don't remember. I'm sure I asked it before, but I don't remember.
I don't think you asked that question
I don't.
before, but I do have an answer that might or may not be accurate.
Sure, go for it.
Other states have other rules, so for the state of Maine, I had a very good friend, his birthday was in October, but he was still placed in the same grade as I was. So if they are after September 1st and they were placed, went to school in Maine, and then the family moves here into New Hampshire, into Goffstown, he would have been in first grade, but according to our policy, he should have been placed in kindergarten. So that's the difference of why I think we have the December 31st. It's so that we can accommodate other students from other states that might be younger than the current grade system we have set up.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes.
Does that make sense to people?
Yes.
Okay. And how long is tentative?
Because it used to be.
How long is tentative?
Yeah.
Where
It's
do you
on here
s-
a couple times. Such placement is tentative and subject to reassignment. Well,
Was December.
how long is tentative?
My youngest. It was
I mean, if I were a parent, I'd like to know by what's the end of when my kid could be changed again.
Well, I could imagine, if I may,
Yeah, go for it, Jared.
looking at this, if I was in a position of administration, I would look to, okay, we have a transcript coming in for somebody from, again, another state, and they're being placed in second grade. Upon being in second grade, we quickly find out that's not the appropriate grade they should be in. So we've placed them in there tentatively, knowing now that maybe they should be reassigned to first
I have no
grade.
problem with the tentatively part
Yeah.
at all. But how long?
I think it's
tentatively.
Go ahead, Wendy.
I do think it's case dependent, to be honest with you, Ellen, because I think for students that are coming into first grade, kind of the benchmarks that they're looking for in the length of time may be different than for perhaps a student who's coming into second grade, as an example, in the example that Jared gave. So I do think it really is case dependent,
And it gives administration some
a
flexibility.
little bit of flexibility in that.
Without being held to a certain amount of days.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you worried, Ellen, that tentative is 6 months?
It could be any length of time. It doesn't end.
Depending on the concept, tentative in the concept of a 10-month school year would probably be less than that of planning for retirement. It's a context one, but I completely understand where you're going, and I was thinking on policy, we were talking maybe a couple of weeks.
Right.
An administration will
Generally.
act in the best interest of a
Right.
student and a family. So clearly, Ellen, in your example, like, we would never wait that long for reassignment. We'd be having those correspondence with parents, especially if we're concerned. I can speak, I know at the middle school level, when we're looking at those higher order classes for mathematics, we have 30 days. So we have a timestamp set for that, so that we know that we're corresponding with parents and aren't putting students in a position where they've been in a course for 3 or 4 months. I think the same thing goes here. We would never put a student in there and keep them there for 3 or 4 months and do something detrimental to a student.
Okay, thank you.
So so we already moved this policy except of the effective July 1st, 2023. So if everybody is okay with that, I would want
you need
a
a motion?
yeah, to just
I'll move
add it.
to accept JEB, that notice, effective date of July 1, 2023.
Thank you, Ellen. Do I have a
And you
second?
probably need to make it retroactive to February 20th, or, because if you do it tonight, then it's
Right.
effective tonight.
Right, as
The-
February 20th, when we approved it last.
What?
We approved this policy February 20th.
Oh.
And we did not put an effective date in. So retro,
Oh, retroactive to February 20th, 2023, stating the effective date of 7/1/2023.
perfect, thank you,
Is
Ellen.
that okay?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks. Do I have a second? By Caroline. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining? Okay, we're unanimous. So the next part is our first read question and answers. What we have on the top is a board member had a couple of questions. And I figured it would be easier just to show everybody. So the first policy, BGE, this was discussed at length in the committee. Recommendation came from our administrators that they did not want manual policies in each school. There was a human error, a lot of paperwork, waste of paper. So that's why it was taken out, and they will be posted on the SAU. Of course, if anybody wants a hard copy, they're more than welcome to get it. But we had a concern about that, so I just wanted to let you know that's what BGE was.
Oh my gosh, we used to get them and they were like a whole set of encyclopedias.
Right.
They were huge.
And they change
Yeah.
often, and if they're not all kept up, then policies may not be accurate. So that was why it came down from
Mhm.
administration. Did I get that?
Yes.
Okay. So if everybody is good with BGE, we can move on. And we'll come back to these at the next meeting for second reads. IHBG is the education instruction for public school programs and non-public, public chartered schools. So as you can see, there was a couple of questions. So how does everybody feel about adding, as long as they remain a resident of the district? I mean, it's pretty clear, it does stick to RSA 193, which it is clear that they have to be in district, but I think it was just to make it clearer. And then 1AB, the line doesn't make sense, so we need to add a couple of letters, a couple of words to make that make sense a little bit. And then they asked if we could recommend policy JJJ, and basically JJJ talks about RSA 193, 1C, which is in the legal reference at the back. So it's kind of redundant, but if that's what board members want, we can add JJJ to this and then go to JJJ and reference this one. But it is all covered. This is all under RSAs, and it is pretty clear under this policy. So you guys can think about that and let me know. And we have attached JJJ also, so you can see it.
Do you need anything from us?
Nope, not tonight, unless there was any other questions on any of the other policies.
Just the two policies that are listed on the agenda that weren't here, are they withdrawn for the moment from first read? JLDBB and JRA?
Oh, so we don't have those policies with us.
No, they're in your first.
They're in your first read packets.
But they, the only thing that I got from any board member asking questions.
Oh, was that first read 2 weeks ago?
Yeah,
So
and
we-
tonight is questions.
On all of them?
Yep.
But that was the only, those are the only ones that someone questioned.
Got it.
Yeah. So JL.
I'm only on a policy committee, I don't.
I know, you go over all these policies. JLDBB is the suicide prevention and response. And then JRA is student records and access. And then we have the regs for those. So if anybody had any other questions on any of those, if not, they'll come back again. And then just let me know what everybody feels on the questions on policy IHBG. If you want to add anything. All right, so we can move on to,
Just for giggles, on
Yep.
IHBG, is there something in this policy that's presented us tonight that wasn't discussed at the policy committee? Okay.
Nope.
Thank you.
right,
Yep.
and we need to make
Okay,
our A1B sound a little better.
thank you.
All right, so updates, the GHS lunch, Scott?
Not a big update, only in the sense that every 2 weeks, so the first interim email or status update from Goffstown High School, the administration and Megan will be due to Brian, myself, and Wendy this Friday, so that we know what type of progress is being made. I can share with you that Megan Bizzaro did order the food warmer. She did order the other rack to help transport the meal. So in terms of the materials that were needed, she did do that, and she also, in terms of the staffing issue, she was dealing with that over the break. So we'll learn more, but I wanted to let the board know that we are monitoring this on every 2 weeks to see how things are going, and then obviously it's going to come back in April before the next vacation for ultimate resolution on it. But we are monitoring it. Just wanted to do it. And the day after you met, Megan, Frank, and Kim met, and we're working out different things. So just wanted to keep you apprised of that.
Great, thank you. All right, the new math program?
Sure. I just wanted to provide a quick update for the board. As you know, we're currently looking at a math program for the elementary level, grades K through 5. We established a math committee of more than 25 teachers and administrators that represent both Goffstown and New Boston. After conducting extensive research on a lot of programs, our committee ended up seeing 4 different vendor presentations, and were able to view both the teacher and student resources as well as the digital resources that are associated with all of those programs. We also created a rubric that we use as a committee in order to grade, for lack of a better term, all of the different products that we saw. After seeing all of those presentations, we've narrowed our search down to 2 different programs. We're looking at Reveal Mathematics and Math and You by Big Ideas to pilot this spring. They are set to start around mid-March. And obviously not all classrooms are going to be part of those pilots, but parents are going to receive information later on this week if their student's classroom will be impacted by those pilots. Teacher trainings for the products are happening later on this week. And in that parent letter, there will be a link so that parents can get online and learn more about the programs rather than just seeing what's coming home from their student in those journals. Throughout the spring, we're going to continue to grade those products and look for feedback from teachers, from parents, and our students. We're going to have teachers going in and doing observations to be able to see the products in use if certain teachers aren't piloting products, and to be able to look at different products and what they offer. So that we can make an informed decision. For both of the pilots, I was able to secure them free of cost. Normally it costs between $12 and $16 per student and staff member, but with some sweet talking, we were able to get them for free from both of our vendors, so we're very thankful for that. So as we continue to work through the process, we'll keep the board updated, but we're really excited about this process, and I'm truly thankful for all of the teachers who have been a part of this process. They've spent a lot of hours looking at math curriculum.
So thank you, Wendy.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Yep. As a board member, I'd like an opportunity to look at these 2 options as well.
Yep.
How can I set that up?
So, Ellen, I'm happy to do that. I have some print copies available at the SAU if you'd like to come over and view them. I can also send over the link that we're sending to parents that gives information about the products as well. I'm happy to do
I'd
that.
like to read through the 2 programs and see
Absolutely. Be happy to do that.
Do I need to call you, or can I just show up?
You can show up. I'll
Okay.
leave some things in the conference room downstairs for
Okay,
you.
thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Dan.
So this is we're doing a live pilot.
We are.
So we're shifting from what we're doing right now to something, how many different classrooms?
So
In total.
between the two products in Goffstown,
Yep.
there will be 6 classrooms impacted for each of the products.
So 12 in total.
Correct.
Among which grades?
K through 5. So
So
it will
we're gonna
span
do one-
between, yes,
Okay.
between Glen Lake, Bartlett, Maple, and Mountain View. So not every classroom will be impacted.
Are you all set, Dan?
Yep.
Great. Shane, go ahead, and then Ellen.
Thank you. I just want to make sure I have the names right. The first one was Real Mathematics, correct?
Reveal.
Reveal.
Mathematics. It is a McGraw-Hill product. And the second is Math and You by Big Ideas. Big Ideas should sound familiar to all of you. That is
Yeah.
the mathematics program that we use in grade 6 through Algebra 2 now in the district, and have used that product for more than a decade.
Thank you.
Yep.
Go ahead, Ellen.
Wendy?
Go to
Okay.
somebody
Wait,
else.
Ellen.
Go to
sorry.
somebody else for a second, because I was writing it and I lost it.
Oh, all right. Go ahead, Judy.
Those programs usually come to C&E to be reviewed too, so
Yep.
Ellen will
Absolutely.
be able to
Yep.
see the books and the programs and
Absolutely.
I want to
all
do
of
more than
that.
just see it.
Yep, yes.
Reading
And
it.
what I'll make sure that I do is for those print copies, I'll bring the same grade level for the different products down so that you're able to see like second grade of Reveal versus second grade of Big Ideas. So you can really see the two products side by side that are covering the same materials. Happy to do that.
Okay.
Great, thank you. Go ahead, Jared.
Are we doing this in both elementary schools? Because we say one class, so
Yes, at Bartlett, at Maple, and at Glen Lake.
is that going to throw off any of your comparisons, having it at the different schools? Because they are two different distinct communities.
So each of the schools is piloting both
Okay,
products.
thank you.
Yes.
I thought you meant one grade,
No.
one class from each grade.
Nope, so
Thank
we
you.
did that on purpose, Jared, to make sure that we were covering.
We're good.
Thank you.
Go ahead,
I
Ellen.
got it.
Did you remember? Yes.
Somebody said something in a pop right, and I wrote it.
Good job.
The teachers who are piloting.
Yes.
Are they experienced math teachers?
Yes.
They are experienced
They're
at it.
experienced
They know the
math
program, and
teachers.
they know our curriculum.
Yes.
Okay.
And also, Ellen, I'll mention, as part of the committee, we have interventionists and special ed teachers that are on that committee as well, and they're being trained in the product. So it's not just our classroom teachers, our regular classroom teachers, but also our specialists as well.
Okay.
Anyone else have any more questions or comments for Wendy? All right.
Thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Wendy. All right, new business. Scott, are we talking about the new business, the Glen Lake charges?
No, I just wanted to let the board know that I am proposing some new facility use fees, and then obviously the Glen Lake tuition, but that will be going through policy committee. So A&F looked at the numbers, but there was a few modest changes that I had to make to the wording of those policies, very modest, but so we thought it'd be best to go through the policy committee and then have it come back to this board. I don't think these are major, so in terms of like first read and second read, you might not have to go through those types of processes. Essentially, a lot of our facility use fees have not been increased in 4 or 5 years. In the case of Glen Lake, I think by the time we implement this one, it will be 5 years since the last time we've increased it. So that will be not on the next school board agenda, but might probably be on the one right after that, and I'm looking to do this every spring, probably in April is when we'll revisit fees, just to make sure that we're, in line. So that was it for fees.
Scott, just
Oh,
so
go ahead,
people
Jen.
don't panic, those are role model fees that you're talking about?
Correct. Role model
Right.
preschool.
Right.
So these are kids who come to Glen Lake School for either 3 or 4 days a week, and they serve as role models for our other students who are there. And we've been doing this since the school opened. There's been, with the exception of COVID, when we could.
Right. I just didn't want people
Yeah,
to
we're not
think
charging for
we were going to be
kindergarten.
charging for preschool, right?
Right.
For preschool.
So Denise, we're gonna put that on Monday night's agenda for policy. Thank you. All right, you're all set, Scott? Okay, so school staffing.
Great, so first I have a notification. We have two observers, Katie Bridgman and Meredith Doyle from Granite State College, who will be coming in for one-day observations at Mountain View. And then I'll be looking for 3 separate approvals this evening. The first is a teacher resignation, which is Jennifer Bovair, who's looking to go from an English teacher and is hoping to substitute in the district next year. Do you want me to do them all at once?
No,
You
why
want
don't
them
we,
separate?
yeah,
Sure.
let's do the resignation first.
Thank you.
So I'll need
Make a motion to approve the resignation of Jennifer Bover.
Thank you, Shane. Do I have a second? By Caroline?
Just for giggles.
Yep.
Because she's fulfilling her contract, is she actually resigning?
She's just not asking for her contract to be renewed for next year.
Yeah, is that a resignation? Because she fulfilled her contract. I don't know.
Well, is she on a continuing contract? Or do we?
I don't know if there's something in the GEA contract. I know there was wording that says we got to give contracts for the following year to different individuals, but it's just a process. She's not resigning.
Right.
She's letting her contract go down. I don't want
Yeah.
something in the books that says she resigned.
Right.
Because she kind of chose not to come back.
Yes, you're right.
One's negative, one's not, so I'm,
I wouldn't call a resignation negative.
I don't either.
say again?
I wouldn't call a resignation negative.
Yeah, it's just a choice.
don't
Yeah,
either.
she's making a choice to.
Okay, sorry. I did.
She's notifying us that she will not be renewing her contract.
Right.
And from looking at the documentation, she wants to give the district as much notice as possible for the hiring process, which is
Sure.
why she's choosing to do it now rather than when contracts
Thank
come
you
out.
very much.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right,
It's-
thank you,
it's a-
Wendy.
It's a note.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. Okay, go ahead.
And I'm looking for the approval of 2 teacher retirements. Mark Kilmister, the art teacher from Mountain View, and Kathleen Ford, a world language teacher here from Goffstown High School. Combined, just as a note, over 50 years of experience here in the district. So much appreciation to both Mark and Kathleen for their years and years of service.
With mixed emotions, I make a motion to accept the teacher retirements.
Thank you, Terry. Second by Ellen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. Go ahead.
And finally, I'm looking for approval for a new teacher nomination, Emma Vanderpool, who would be taking the world language position that Kathleen Ford would be leaving us for at the start of next school year.
I'll move the approval of that nomination.
Thank you, Ellen. Do I have a second? By Ginny?
Inquiry.
Yes.
How did we get a replacement so fast?
That's a good question.
World language teachers are hard to find.
Yeah.
I wouldn't question.
I know it was posted well in advance per the GEA contract to be able to have that, and I know that Kathleen did put in information prior that she knew that she was going to be retiring, so we proactively were able to post that position.
And that's a Latin teacher.
It is, it's Latin.
Wow.
Wasn't she also actively involved in trying to help?
She absolutely was involved in the process to
Yeah.
get her replacement.
Right.
Excellent. So she's
Yes.
coming from outside of the district?
She is.
Cool.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a
Really good.
second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining, we're unanimous. All right, that's it with staffing?
That's it, thank you.
All right, other business that may legally come before the meeting? Nothing? All right, we have no non-public tonight. So the next.
So I could make a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, this next school board meeting is March 20th. So go ahead, Dan.
Motion to adjourn.
By Dan, who's the second? By Caroline. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstaining. All right. Good night, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.